So after your great year in 2001 with Steve Austin, WrestleMania 18 is coming around, and we've got Rock and Hogan in a match, we've got the NWO back, we've got Triple H and Jericho, and you ended up doing a match with Kane on that WrestleMania. But it kind of felt like there was just the two of you left, so they put you together. There was rumors that WWE were trying to get Sting maybe to face you. Was Kane and you always the plan, or was there something else in mind?
Kane happened at the last second. I'm not sure what they wanted to do with me at WrestleMania 18. I believe I just had the title taken away from me. And I think it was it Rock and Austin that WrestleMania?
No, Rock and Hogan.
Rock and Hogan, okay. So it was the following year. It was after I beat Stone Cold for the world title. So I did just get the title taken away from me. But they didn't have any plans for me. It was crazy because they utilized me all year long. I was main eventing every week and you know, winning the world title and wrestling the top guys. And I think they just didn't know where to put me at that particular time. Yeah, you're right. That old man, he came back, stole my spot. Old mother. I hate him.
But is there any truth to the Sting rumor? Did you ever hear that they were thinking about putting you with Sting?
I heard they were trying to get Sting in to wrestle me at WrestleMania 18, but obviously it never happened. I wish it would have. I did have the opportunity to wrestle Sting in TNA, but I would have preferred it in WWE.
And then later in 2002, you were part of John Cena's first match on SmackDown. I mean, because it was a pretty big night. You made him that first night. You kind of made him feel like a star. Was that easy for you? I mean, so many people had helped make you a star at the beginning. Did you feel conflicted about doing it? How did you feel about it?
No, I was cool with helping John out. I knew, you know, that night, I literally tried to get him tired. I tried to get him to blow up in the ring. I was trying to get him so exhausted that he would fall over and die. I did everything I could to try to get him tired, and I couldn't get that son of a bitch tired. And I knew right then, I said, this kid is something special. He's going to do something great. And you know what? I didn't even hear him do a promo yet. And I didn't realize how good he was at that. So it was like, holy shit, this kid has a whole ball of wax. He's going to do something really special. And look at him. He's on his way to winning and being the only 18-time World Heavyweight WWE champion, which is incredible.
And I mean, in terms of how important to Cena's career do you think it was that you were kind of so giving to him and you made him look so good?
Well, you know, John didn't need someone to make him look good. I mean, I was in the right position at the right time. I believe I did help him, but, you know, he was on his way. It didn't matter who he was going to wrestle. You just knew he was going to be a big star. And I'd love to take credit for it, but I don't think the credit belongs to me. It belongs to John Cena.
And then, you know, you have the match at WrestleMania 19 with Brock, and, you know, you're injured, he gets injured.
Finally, I main event WrestleMania. It's about time.
But then you guys go on to work together a lot that year. You know, you put the thing on Instagram recently about the backstage clip with you and him and you drinking the milk and he hits your back and it goes all over the girl. And you have the Iron Man match. You guys wrestle at SummerSlam. Where does that series of matches for you rank in your career?
Well, to be honest with you, it was my second favorite program. My first favorite was with Stone Cold. But I really loved the angle I had with Brock, the program. You know, Brock is an incredible athlete. What he's been able to do in every sport that he plays, I mean, he's literally the best at whatever he does. I mean, Brock is so talented that if he joined the NBA right now, he'd probably make it. I mean, you know, what he's done, he went from the WWE to the NFL, and he would have made it if he would have spent another year there. But he decided to quit. And then he went to MMA and became UFC champion. And then he comes back to WWE and becomes WWE champion. I mean, that kid is so talented. It doesn't matter what he touches. Whatever he touches is going to turn to gold. That's how talented he is.
Because when you guys worked together for most of 2003, he left like not long after that infamous WrestleMania 20 match with Goldberg.
The torturous WrestleMania match with Goldberg and Brock.
I mean, if you've got any memories of that,
how would you like to be in that match? When every fan in the arena is booing you and telling you you're boring and go home. Wow, man. Oh.
Were you surprised though that because he was on top, he was one of the top guys in the company, and he just decides I don't want to do it anymore?
Okay, this is what happened. We were in South Africa, and Brock comes up to me and says, "Hey, I hate traveling. I can't take this anymore. I can't travel overseas all the time. I like to be home. I like to hunt and fish." I'm like, "Well, Brock, you are a simple man." So he says, "Listen, I think what I'm going to do." I said, "What are you going to do, Brock?" He said, "I'm going to try out for the NFL." I said, "Why are you going to do that?" I said, "You have a job with the WWE." He said, "Because I hate traveling. And in the NFL, you only travel 8 weeks of the year. So every weekend you go to another city, and it's only 8 times. The rest of the dates, I'll be at home fishing and hunting." So I said, "Okay." I said, "When are you going to tell Vince?" He said, "I don't know." That's why I'm asking you. I said, "Well, I would tell him after WrestleMania." And Brock said, "Okay, why?" I said, "Because you're going to have to do the job at WrestleMania if you tell him you're quitting now. And you're wrestling Goldberg. If you want to win at WrestleMania, don't tell him till after WrestleMania." He goes, "Gotcha." We go back. We go straight to Raw. Or SmackDown. We were on SmackDown. And he goes up to Vince and says, "Vince, I want to try out for the NFL." I was like, "Oh, man." He just himself. So next week is WrestleMania. And what happened? Brock Lesnar does the job against Goldberg. It would have been the other way if Brock would have smartened up, but he didn't because he's an idiot.
At WrestleMania 20, you faced Eddie Guerrero for the WWE title.
God bless Eddie.
And he beat Brock for the title the month before. I mean, that WrestleMania match is quite an underrated match. You know, it's not talked about enough. How did you kind of find out you were going to work with him? What are your memories of doing that WrestleMania match with him?
Well, I was so excited to work with Eddie at WrestleMania, especially him being world champion. And I knew at that time that there was no way in hell Vince McMahon was going to take that title from Eddie. So I knew I wasn't going to win, but I was all for being at WrestleMania 20, main eventing with Eddie Guerrero, well, co-main eventing. We weren't exactly the last match, but we were considered a co-main event. But I remember when Eddie, he came up to me a week before, and he said, "Hey, I have a great finish for the match." And I said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "Well, I want you to get me in the ankle lock, and when you do that, I am going to kick you off, and when you take a bump, I'm going to grab my shoe and start untying it to loosen it up, and then you're going to reapply the ankle lock, and I'm going to slide my ankle out of it, and then you're going to charge me. I'm going to roll you up and grab the ropes to get the 1, 2, 3. And I said, "Wow, you've been thinking about this for a while, haven't you?" I said, "How do you know you're going to win, Eddie?" He said, "I'm just guessing I'm going to win." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, you know what? This is a brilliant finish because it goes with your lie, cheat, and steal gimmick because you're cheating to win, and it protects me because, you know, I'm losing by you cheating. So I absolutely love the idea." And we pulled it off. I mean, I thought that finish, a lot of people say the match was great, but the finish was, okay. I thought the finish was awesome. I don't know how you feel. Yeah. I thought it was a brilliant finish, especially with Eddie Guerrero. It fit him perfectly.
And I mean, because Eddie was part of the SmackDown 6 with you as well. How important was Eddie to your career in that couple of years? Because you did kind of end up going back to him a few times.
Yeah, you know, the SmackDown 6 was a special group. And, you know, at the time, SmackDown was always the second show. Raw was always the flagship show. And it got to the point that nobody wanted to be on SmackDown. So we all got together, you know, the 6 of us, and we said, "Listen, we need to change the around here. We gotta make this the #1 show." And that's what we did. We had incredible matches. The cool thing about SmackDown compared to Raw was more of a storyline-driven show. SmackDown was more action, more wrestling, and that's what we took pride in. That's when the SmackDown 6 came in and decided we're going to dominate this show and we are going to beat Raw in ratings. And we eventually did. And I thought, you have Eddie Guerrero, you have Edge, you have, I think, Brock Lesnar, myself, Rey Mysterio. No, Brock wasn't in it. Rey Mysterio.
Benoit,
Mysterio,
Chavo and Eddie.
Chavo, Eddie, Edge, and Rey, right? Yeah, it was a very special group. And, every single one of those guys will be in the Hall of Fame if they're not already.
I mean, in terms of, because SmackDown used to be taped on Tuesdays, Raw's live on Mondays, was the atmosphere any different at SmackDown because it was a taped show and because, like you say, Raw's somehow always seen as the A show?
Well, that's the only thing I didn't like about SmackDown, but you had protection because if you messed up, you could just do it over again. And I didn't like having that safety net. I always felt like I just want to get it done one time, and whatever happens, happens. But, when you're on SmackDown for too long, you start taking advantage of it, and you say, you know what, I up a little bit on that spot, so you're in the match, you're wrestling the match. If you mess up a little bit on a spot, you just stop and you do it over again. And the truck knows why you did it over again, because you messed up on the first spot. But after a while, people were doing it so much that Vince was getting mad, like, this is crazy. Everybody's calling spots over and over again. We need to change this. And that's when Vince decided to put a stipulation, is what he called it. And that's, we have to treat SmackDown like it's a live show. No more do it over again. So eventually we didn't have that safety net anymore.
And obviously WrestleMania was recently, and I was watching an old WrestleMania, and obviously you had the match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21, but you did an acting skit with Christy Hemme where you guys reenacted when Harry met Sally, and the scene at the table when they put a very, very tasteful wig on you as well. What do you remember about them going, so for WrestleMania, we're going to redo When Harry Met Sally, and you're going to do the diner scene?
Oh, I loved it, man. This was right up my alley. I got to wear a wig, which I did quite a bit. I don't know if you remember when I got my head shaved, but I wore a wig there too. But it was a lot of fun. It was WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, and we were doing spoofs from different movies. And mine was from When Harry Met Sally. And the best part of it was at the end when Linda McMahon popped up and said, I'm going to have what she's having. It was great. And
then you also that year did, I mean, if you've not seen this, it is tremendous. For the Royal Rumble, you guys did a spoof of the West Side Story. And Ric Flair's in like a brown wig. You're in a wig. I mean, how do you find out you're going to do a West Side Story vignette?
You know what's funny? Not one of us laughed. We all took it seriously, like we were in West Side Story or something. There's going to be a Rumble tonight. It was crazy.
I think that night when you guys did that West Side Story thing, like you guys, because at this point you're still in WWE, and you guys bumped into the TNA guys that night. Did Vince see TNA as competition in 2004, 2005 in any way?
No, he never acknowledged it. Never thought about TNA. Never brought it up. Whether he was concerned or not, I don't know if TNA was making enough noise in 2004 and 5. I believe that they started really making noise, and it wasn't just me, but actually it was me. Well, in 2006, I came to TNA, and that's when the changed.
The bar is open.
We'll get to that eventually, I'm sure.
I did want to ask you quickly, because in 2005 you got to work a little bit with Ric Flair, and obviously he was older at that point, but what was it like getting to work with him even in his later days?
I wish I would have been able to work with Rick in his prime, but he was still good. At 55 years of age, he was still kicking. I remember one match I had with him, and he was nervous. He was nervous as hell because he wasn't wrestling much at this particular time, and he was doing a lot of managing. And I remember he pulled me aside and said, listen, don't blow me up out there. You know, if you see me tired and I'm down, just let me down. Let me rest while I'm on the ground. Let me get a couple of breathers. So we're wrestling this match, and Rick is just going off the deep end, just doing all his crazy bumps. I don't know if you ever seen him do the forward bump, you know. And so we're wrestling. We have about a minute left, and this son of a bitch knows we only have a minute left. And he's like, he told me before the match, hey, just stay on me. Just beat the shit out of me if I can't move. So I'm beating the shit out of him. I'm punching him. I'm like, okay, Rick, I'm beating the shit out of you. What else you want me to do? And he says, clothesline me over the top of the rope. I said, we have a minute left, Rick. We have to go home. He said, clothesline me over the top rope. I clothesline him over the top rope. This stupid son of a bitch lands on the floor, scuffles over to the barricade, and goes into the crowd. I'm like, holy shit, we got 30 seconds left, and we're going off the air. Like, we're on the main event of Raw, and Raw's going to go off the air in 30 seconds, and Rick's in the crowd. I don't know how we did it, but we got him back to the ring, and I got the pinfall, and thank God we did it within the 30 seconds. I don't know how.